Well, welcome to Hosting Life Together. This is session 1 titled Creating Your Own Community. My name is Brett Eastman, and I'm going to serve as your host through what is going to be the series of lessons in this Hosting Life Together training series. Some of you now have been leading groups for 6 years, and this is old hat to you. And my dream and hope is that you might get a nugget or two that could really help you become a better leader or facilitator. Some of you have been doing it for 6 months, and you're really looking for some help to be able to figure out a little bit about conflict or facilitation skills or some nuance or what's going on or isn't going on in your group, maybe to take it the next level, deeper, or maybe to really create a better circle that it really becomes like a spiritual family and not just a few folks hanging out on Tuesday nights. Some of you have been doing this for 6 weeks and you're frankly still recovering from all that just happened, and yet your pastor or your friends have asked you, would you be willing to help facilitate this? No matter where you are. Some of you, I could tell, even now, as we begin this series, many of you just started this 6 hours ago. It doesn't matter. You may be just like me. I was tapped on the shoulder by a guy named John. And John, I had only been in this group for about 6 weeks. He said, Brett, I want you to know that I think that you're ready to be able to help facilitate with a few other guys. And I said, dude, I don't even know where my Bible is, let alone what's in it. And he said, Brett, you've been very faithful. You've come, diligently. You've done your homework. You've been able to, just be so responsive. And besides, we are a little desperate. We need somebody to help these few guys. So I said, thanks for your honesty, but I really am a little scared, overwhelmed, and I don't think I can do it. I was just being straight. And he said, I differ. I disagree. And here's why. I'm going to help you, Brett. Each step of the way. You just need to be one step ahead. All I'm asking you to do is to be able to call and connect with them and to have them gather a few of their friends, and I think you'll have a great time.
I think the primary reason that it's important for a group to really be open and welcoming of new people, it comes from the very heart and the lips of Jesus, is that every sheep needs a shepherd. And think about how many people go in and out of the doors of a church and they just sit on the sidelines and they hear maybe great music and great preaching and see people talk to one another, but they feel like they're, looking through that glass on the outside in. What they need is a human being to reach out and say, some of us are meeting at my house. It's only for about 6 weeks. Would you join us? People don't come because they see it in the bulletin or they see a sign or hear about it. People come by personal invitation. This is where we need to get outside of ourselves, muster up the courage and just say, would you like to come over at our house at such and such at 7 o'clock at night? It's about 6 weeks. I think you'll love it. And you'll be shocked at how many people will say yes. So just go for it.
John said that I believe in you, and I believe you could do it. What was interesting, for the next couple of years, those guys journeyed together in community, unlike I had ever even experienced amongst guys. It was a gift. We had so much fun together. We shared all of life and college in ways that I really was blessed beyond whatever my wildest dreams in the context of any church experience I had known from that point on. But my wife and I ended up moving away, getting married, and I jumped into a job, and I kind of backed out of being in community a little bit. It was about 3-4 years in, my wife and I got pregnant with our first daughter. Her name was Kirsten. It turned out she had a deformity, and she never really made it out of the hospital. She was only 4 months old, and she took her last breath in my arms, and it just rocked my world. I didn't know, frankly, who to call. It was one of the hardest times of my life and even of our marriage. And I can remember the tear stains on my Bible just going, Lord, what am I going to do? Are you there in a way that I need you like this? And I made a commitment before God not to do my life alone, but to do my life together from that point on. Because as comforting as He was through my time with Him, I needed a few buds that I had closer in the other time of my life. Well, from that point, we moved to Willow Creek Community Church. I jumped on the staff there. We had 2 children going out, got pregnant with our third about 4 years in, and we were going back to San Diego to plant a church when my wife and I found out that we were going to have another child. Well, that third child ended up being a set of identical triplet girls. Most guys at this point kind of say, dude, the ladies are a little overwhelmed. But it did do that. It took us way over the top. And we decided to stay. God had other plans for our lives. And I had the privilege of being able to champion the group ministry from where there was about 40 or so groups, and it took off to well over 10,000 people in groups. And then lo and behold, my wife showed up again and said, honey, it's a little cold in Chicago. We're from California. We ended up moving back to Saddleback Church and joining the staff where they had a couple of hunter groups there. And Rick Warren, being the most teachable guy on the planet, was willing to try a whole bunch of new ideas, some of which are just like this, video and DVD teaching curriculum for members and for leaders. And we saw a run over a course of about a 6-year period, putting over 20,000 people in groups. Now, I've had the privilege of serving in several large churches with some incredible leadership. However, I grew up in a very small mainline church of about 60 or 80 people with my mom and my 2 sisters. And I can remember during a time in high school, my mom was trying to figure out how on earth she kind of kept me under some level of control. I was a little out there. And she asked the pastor if he'd help. So he called me and asked if I'd like to, meet with him and a few other guys in a Bible study. And I was reluctant, but was willing to go. When I got there, I come to find out that he had to confess that he wasn't able to find someone to lead the group, and he wasn't able to do the group himself. And a little part of me kind of died because I even though he was an older guy, I was willing to kind of do it. I felt like, hey, maybe there's a chance for me to figure out this spiritual stuff. Well, it's one of the deepest reasons, deepest convictions I have in Life Together in our ministry to try to help people like yourself be able to not just get in the game, but stay in the game to help shepherd people like me where I was and others in the family of God that need, a shepherd as Jesus only dreamed. Now, we're not looking for perfect people. We're looking for not junior Jesuses or Marys. We're looking for people who are willing to follow the simple call of God and to shepherd a few, or are willing to gather with a circle of friends and do life together, even just for a starter, 6 weeks like we're doing with this. Now, before we keep going with this, I just want to say, please know, we're just working with ordinary people as you listen to this who serve an ordinary, extraordinary God. And may He use this to do something exceedingly abundantly beyond whatever you might even ask or think. But before we go into this next session, what I want you all to do is to break into groups of 2 or 3 people, okay? So there's just no more than 4 of you, and answer this simple question. What has been your small group experience? You've got only 60 seconds to do this, but what has been kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly of where God has used it to be able to help you grow, or He's used it to be able to try to, get you to the point you are right now, to maybe be open to help a few others grow in their walk with God. Why don't you take a moment now and share? We'll pull you back in a minute.